And I continued my attack in a fairly crude and basic way. It's a sort of loosening move, but it's also quite provocative. I just played h4 here. Very simple idea, is just a threatening h5, and the knight would be forced to move, and then queen h7 mate, so he could lose the knight if he's not careful. Of course, it's quite easy to parry this, and he picked a decent choice, and that was to go for queen to c7. So the idea now is that these black major pieces are creating some uncomfortable pressure along this C file, and I have to do something about this. The computer likes just bishop to d2 here, just reinforcing this square. But I went with a more provocative idea, and I wasn't 100% sure that it would be effective, but it's a game, and sometimes you just go with what you want to do instead of always what you should. But played rook e3. I've been studying attack, and I've been following Majnu's videos on by the Vukovic book, The Art of Attack, and often the rook is able to swing over to the h file after a lift like this and participate in the attack. So I was attracted to this idea that the rook can work as a defender here, but also eye this h3 or g3 square to get involved in the attack. And it's a little bit risky because this rook might be susceptible to attacks from pawns and minor pieces, but I was attracted to the idea, so I just went for it. My opponent now played f5, and f5 would actually be a really good move if it weren't for the possibility of the en passant capture, because my opponent would be then threatening f4, and after f4 this rook would have nowhere to go, and basically I would end up losing in the exchange, because if I moved the rook away I would just lose this knight on c3, so I probably would have to play bishop to d2 and move the rook away, and I would have to lose it. I would lose the piece. But of course, e takes f6 is playable, and it's the only move. So e takes f6, a rook takes f6, and now h5. So I'm just kind of forcing the issue here. Of course, the knight is forced to go to f8 here because he still needs to defend this vulnerable h7 square. So after knight f8, I continue the pressure with knight g5. I think when you do go on the attack, you've got to be fully committed to the idea and throw all of your pieces into the attack. There's no a half-hearted attempt is not going to work. So he plays rook h6 here, which is more or less forced. This piece was ganged up on 3 times and only defended effectively by the knight, and of course the king is only really a half defender because you can't put yourself into check. So here I played a very provocative move which turned out to be my opponent's undoing. I played here rook h3, and at first when I considered rook h3 I dismissed it because it would allow e5, revealing an attack from the bishop, and then I would be in serious trouble, I thought, because the rook is still serving as a defender of this edge pawn and the c3 pawn, which isn't a good thing. However, there's one very major problem with e5. It opens up this diagonal to the king with devastating effect, and after my opponent's next move he is lost. So e5. I'd like you to pause the video now and see if you can find the best continuation from this position. There's an extremely strong idea here, and I think it would be quite instructive for you to try and find it. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so the winning idea, there's actually more than one way to win. But the one I found, and the one that I like best, is knight d5. At first it looks like white is just giving up this bishop on c2, but this fails in a very dramatic way. So queen takes c2, knight takes e7 check, king h8 is forced, and then we have this Paul Morphy style checkmate with knight f7, a beautiful checkmate motif in the corner. So that doesn't work. Obviously the queen and bishop are under attack, so really the only move here is queen d8. And after queen d8, I'm more than happy to exchange off this dark squared bishop with check. So we see that now. And now this devastating idea is bishop b3 check. And black is losing by force here, which we'll see there's really no great defense. The best continuation for black here would have been knight e6, but this also loses. If we just take a quick look here, knight takes here, and then let's say bishop takes, we just got bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and black is losing miserably. So I use pawn takes here, and you know, we're in exchange up, and more so because of this really positionally bad knight in the corner. However, my opponent blundered terribly here with king h8, which is just devastating because it allows knight f7 check, and this is the worst kind of situation to be in as the defender, because the king is forced to move to a square if he does try to get out of check, to move into a position where a double check can be delivered. So actually the best continuation here is to capture with the queen, believe it or not, and I'll show you why. Let's say that the king came here, we've got rook takes check, the king is forced to go back, and then there's a beautiful idea, is bishop g4. Queen takes allows this check, winning the queen. So that doesn't work. Let's say the queen goes to e8, then the queen is going to be lost as well, because knight to f7 check, king g8, knight takes d6 check, and the queen is lost again. Probably the bishop e6 is best, but it's just losing. So in the game my opponent made the right defensive move, but it's all over at this stage. So queen takes f7 check, bishop takes f7, bishop takes h3, bishop takes h6, and now he tried bishop g4. I'm not really sure what that move accomplished. He's probably just shell-shocked at this stage. So play queen g3, g takes h6 is forced, because moving the bishop would allow mate on g7. So he plays g takes, and after queen takes g4 he resigned because I'm threatening mate on g8, and the only way to protect against this is to move the knight, but unfortunately all of the knight's squares are covered by white's pieces and pawn. So it was a sort of interesting game, and it was unfortunate for my opponent that he blundered the way he did, because I'd actually offered him a draw a few moves earlier, but that's how it goes in chess sometimes. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.